Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how this will work, but I apologize for my lousy German, so I have to hold this in English. I guess you understand. I try to make it simple. I promise the interpreters that. I just wanted to tell you, first of all, the line was what to learn when you have built skyscrapers, it stood. It's just 8 floors. I think skyscrapers are a little higher. But I will start with what we didn't know at all about these buildings. I've been in the concrete industry for about 30 years, built everything you can imagine. I just mentioned that before I start talking, because I will blame them a little, not so much. But what we have learned is this. For a concrete man, it's a little bizarre, perhaps, but the timber, the wood coming from the forests, that is the main issue if we want to win the climate change. And that's a huge fight. It's a tough fight, and it has to start now. And when we started these buildings, of course, we didn't know what we were doing, I said, but today we have had about people from about 150 nations visiting these houses, and we are traveling around the planet. It seems like a mission, a lousy business idea, I tell you. And when we come to, for instance, Africa, and you tell them to use the forests, cut down the trees, build houses, they look at you if you're a lunatic, you know. They always get blamed. They have no trees, they don't plant any trees, and they do nothing. But we have to show them the difference. Yeah, it sounds big, doesn't it? But every time we build a house, we believe we are doing something good. And as I listened, you had an architect, a woman from the architect of Deutschland, I think. I would like to just emphasize that it's important also for us that we build beautiful houses, beautiful surroundings. You're living in a city, and then you must be able to feel good. This picture, it will be some bad talks also, because I'm living in Stockholm. Stockholm believes and tries to be the best city in the world according to environmental business. And UN has a goal which won't let out more than one ton carbon dioxide per person a year. In Stockholm, they think they are down there. And we are telling our politicians, there are a lot of politicians here, I imagine, that's not the true. It's like Donald Trump, you know. If we check with United Nations, we are letting out 16 tons per person. And that is because we are not producing anything. We are blaming all the countries in Asia, Africa, wherever, and we are only consuming. And to change this system and to save the climate, we have to consume less and less every year. I mean, for me it's okay. I have been consuming enough. But for the young people, it's hard facts. It won't work any other way. Sorry. And this is the other fight. And now I say fight, because when we started traveling around telling this message about timber buildings, using wood, we had something like the cement industry in the world and the concrete industry, and they didn't like it. I can say that, they did not like it. But what we really said is that nearly all the materials we are using, the fossil materials, they are not endless. They will be finished someday. And now we're not talking about 10, 50, 100 years. It could be 1,000 years, 5,000 years, 10,000 years. It doesn't matter. They will be finished. We have one renewable building material, one, and that's our trees. If we, every time we cut a tree, if we plant new trees, we will have a building material that we can use forever. Can you imagine? We can build forever if we just use our trees. So we shouldn't be afraid of that. And here's some figures now, the only one you have to remember, that every tree, every cubic meter of tree reduces the greenhouse gas emissions with 2 tons, every cubic meter. That's the only figure you have to remember. And that, you know, I guess, that is not renewable. If we continue as today, we won't have that planet, or we will have it, not the ones coming after us. We are talking about sustainable forestry everywhere we go. And it's the only way to fix this. I don't know about Germany, how much forest you have, but in Sweden, 70% of the area is covered by trees, 70%. And even in Sweden, we are afraid to cut them down. We believe, or some people believe and say, that it's better you use cement and concrete. And that's what they think, but not we. Here you can see we have forests in Sweden producing a building like this in one minute. And that's the yearly growth of the forests. 1 minute for an 8-story building. And here comes the picture that is very popular, I say. We did this just because in Sweden we are discussing the air industry, the flight industry, and all their emissions. And we never discussed the cement industry. And the cement industry is letting out twice or more than the emissions of the air transport industry. And this source, IPCC, is from the United Nations experts. So even these people say that's fake facts. But we are working after this. And if you look at this circle and you put the sectors together, then it looks like that. And when you read in the newspapers, at least in Sweden, they are discussing agriculture, textile industry, whatever, but never our industry, the building industry, and definitely not the cement industry. And for us, it's hard to understand. And here every time we meet politicians, I heard you had about the same discussion here, even if I don't understand the German, it sounded like that. I mean, they have to be brave. They have to make the decisions. They have to point out what you are not allowed to do. And we hope that in Sweden, they will come to the point when the people or the industries that are sending out dirty greenhouse gases, they have to pay for it. Or if you buy something that is made by an industry, they have to pay for it. But then we're talking taxes. I hate taxes. We're talking regulations. I hate regulations. I think every builder hates these things. But there's no other way to manage with this. So these figures there are from a report from United Nations 2017. It's only 2 years old. And at least in our country, not much has changed, I tell you that. It's going very, very slow. And other interesting thing we found out was that during this period, the life cycle of a building, most of the emissions, they will be emitted when we are building the house. And if the building period is 2 years, for instance, then we are letting out 80% of the carbon dioxide. And the rest, 98 years that are left, it's only 20%. And that's for the energy and things like that. But if you build this then in wood, in timber, because this is a typical concrete steel building, then there are no 80%, because we're not letting out any carbon dioxide. It is stored in the building. And now don't ask me, as a journalist did in Sweden, how fun is it to live in a building filled with carbon dioxide? But that's not the way it is. It's timber, it's wood. So the carbon dioxide gives us timber, it gives us oxygen to breathe, so it's fantastic. I just wanted to show you, I heard also, it's coming 2 pictures. They are not from Germany, they are from United States. But this is just to show what happened in the car industry the last 100 years, a little more. But they have increased their productivity in a fantastic way. Compared to, I'm in the building industry, so don't throw any tomatoes on me, but this is how it looks in the building industry. And in the United States, it's still a fact, because you're not allowed to build timber buildings higher than 5 stories. And they are built exactly the way you have there. Exactly that way. And it's 100, soon 200 years. So not much anyhow happens, except if you do like we did. I don't know, everybody here perhaps know what cross-laminated timber is, CLT panels. You call it KL panels in Germany, I think. It's an innovation from Austria, from the 19th, I think they started. It came to Sweden around 2000, and the first houses were built 2003, 2004. And the walls, they are panels, could be 16 meter long, 3 meter high, and the difference for us, what we did in this country and even in Austria and England, you are using only the panels and then you put all the stuff on at the building site. We did as the car industry because we wanted to take it one step further. So we put on the facade, the inside, the installations, electricity, water pipes, ventilation, everything is in the walls and in the slabs. You can't see it, but that's a panel. Here are the slabs. And what this made for us was when it came to the building site, this building, instead of our neighbors that built in the typical way with concrete and steel, we started in the same time, and they built for 20 months. We thought it was very, very long, but they did it. And this building was finished in 6 months. 6 months from when we started to mount these blocks till it was complete and people moved in. And for an investor, I mean, the time is money. But now, when the rents are where they are, there's not so much interest to do it quicker, it seems. But that's one thing. you can learn out of this. It's a very, very efficient way to build it. Even if you don't do it like us, you don't have to have it prefabricated up to 85%. It's quicker anyhow. And the reason for that is that if you use concrete, if you're builders, you have to dry out the concrete before you can continue with the interior and things like that. But this is dry, it's warm, it smells fantastic. It's like when you were in school. I don't know what the name is, but when you learn to handle wood, it's fantastic, and it's light. It's way a fourth of a concrete building. So if you're building in bad land, docks, overdecking, as we are doing in Stockholm a lot for the moment, or you build on top of other buildings, this is a good choice. And it's a different feeling. These are the stairs. When we started this, we had a lot of experts, these type of experts. They knew that it was impossible to build 8 stories entirely in wood. And these were the highest buildings at that moment, entirely built in wood, because everything is in wood. The staircases, the elevator shafts, you couldn't build elevator shafts in wood. That was impossible. Everything was impossible. But we did it, and we have buildings that are fantastic. People come in, they just take a deep breath when they go through the entrance door because of the smell, and it's silent, it's everything. The acoustic was one thing. As a concrete man for 30 years, I've been taught that the thicker the concrete slab is, the better is the acoustic. And here is no concrete at all. So it was impossible, according to the experts. But we managed that also. So it's the wood. If you do it the correct way, you don't have to worry. And it is a very, very quick and simple way to build a house. It's unbelievable. These are just pictures from the staircase. We think and we believe, that's why we're running around the world, that this is the best way to fulfill these 17 goals. Nearly all states on the planet, they have signed that agreement, and we are now running around and telling them that try to use your forests, plant trees, build houses. And for the developing countries in the world, it's a very quick way also to get an economy in their countries. Because if they use the forest, they get money running around, as they're doing today. Even if they have plantations, they just burn it up, cooking meals on it. So we have to give them alternatives to energy and then use the trees for what they should be used to. And this is the last picture, and you should remember one thing. You cannot grow steel, you cannot grow concrete. Remember that. Thank you.